Chapter 8. So this is the social and emotional chapter for middle and late childhood. We'll talk some about the self, we'll talk about schools, talk about families, and we'll talk about peers. First thing we talk about is self-efficacy. So this is the belief that you can master a situation and produce a favorable outcome. It's basically the ability to get things done, how capable you are. The book puts it as an I can attitude instead of an I can't attitude. We're going to talk about self-esteem in a little bit. Some people, they get this backwards. You raise self-efficacy and then self-esteem will go up too. It doesn't necessarily work the other way around. If you raise self-esteem, that's not going to make efficacy come up. Part of efficacy isn't that these people that are high in it, they're not naturally better at tasks. It is that they persevere more than the other students. So kids with high self-efficacy persist longer in tasks than those that are not high in that. Consequently, they finish more tasks. They don't give up as easy, which leads into the next one, self-regulation. We've talked about it before, the deliberate effort to manage one's behavior, emotions, and thoughts. Again, it's linked to developmental advances in the prefrontal cortex. So they make deliberate efforts to manage their behavior, which leads to increased social competence and achievement. They're not impulsive. They think things through. They can control their emotions like anger. They can control that. And if you come from this is an interesting side note, if you come from a low SES background, high self-regulation can be a protective factor from the negative repercussions of that. And we've talked about this a lot before, the negative outcomes from low SES. Again, high self-regulation can help a person get through that. So self-regulation, you do well at this and you'll do well in other areas of your life. There's lots of ways to increase this. We've discussed some recently with it was kind of like the mindfulness training / metacognition. What am I thinking right now? What am I experiencing? It's basically a way of checking in on yourself and kind of slowing things down. If everything's getting out of control and you're like, hold on just a second. What's going on right now? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? That's metacognition and can help you. Basically, the window of response that you have, some people, they don't have a very big window. They just respond to things immediately. Self-regulation is making that window bigger, and one of the ways to make that window bigger is to be present in your life and to think about what's actually going on. To be present in your life. Basically, you can't control yourself if you're not paying attention to yourself. As an example that I'm sure a lot of us have experience with, if you're fooling around on your phone, for some people that's basically a compulsion. They're on their phone for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. That is not being present. That's not being here now. It's when you're not present, that's when things can go wrong and bad things can happen for you. That's when things can take a turn, when you're not actually paying attention to what's going on in your life. An example from my life just a couple days ago, that as soon as I read this email, I was like, man, this is just like that. I had a student say, I don't know where the textbook's at. Where can I find the textbook? This is a different class. We are in the 6th week of class, and I have a student that doesn't know where the textbook is. That's not being present. That's not being mindful. Even if you don't care about the class at all, the idea that you don't even know where the textbook is for the first 6 weeks of the course, that's not being involved in your life. So anyways, and so that's going to be low on self-efficacy. That's going to be low on self-regulation. Efficacy, regulation, perseverance, self-discipline. If you build that synaptic pathway, we've talked about it before, when things get hard, you'll keep moving forward. So if you have kids, 6 to 11, that's what this age period is. If you can get them to build that synaptic pathway to keep going when things are hard, it will make them harder and more capable and higher self-efficacy when they're adults. At this age, you do not want them to start quitting because it can lead to building that synaptic pathway of being a quitter, and it can lead to a lifetime of quitting things. So these are the things that you want to raise in kids, and the rest will follow. You want to raise self-efficacy, you want to raise self-regulation. Self-esteem, we will talk about on the next slide, is related, but it's not the same.